Turn loneliness into solitude, the Stoic way. Stoicism. Loneliness is the ache of being left behind. It is the empty chair, the silent phone, the sense that other people are living somewhere you are not. Solitude is different. Solitude is choosing your own company on purpose. Same empty room. Same quiet. Completely different life. The Stoics knew this 2,000 years ago, and they built a way to cross from one to the other. This is that way. Start with the philosophy, because it is stranger and stronger than most people expect. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire. He was surrounded by advisors, soldiers, courtiers, and flatterers, and he was often desperately lonely inside all of it. So he taught himself a trick. He wrote that people look for retreats in the countryside, by the sea, in the mountains, but that this is foolish, because you can retreat into yourself at any hour you choose. There is no quieter, more untroubled place, he said, than your own soul. He did not mean escape. He meant that the mind you carry everywhere can become a room you actually want to enter. Seneca pushed from the other side. He was suspicious of crowds. He wrote to his friend Lucilius that nothing is as damaging to good character as sitting around at public spectacles, because the vices slip in more easily through the company you keep. Go into a crowd greedy for approval, he warned, and you come home more cruel, more grasping, less yourself than when you left. For Seneca, the crowd was not the cure for loneliness. Often it was the poison. The danger was never being alone. The danger was dissolving into other people. Then Epictetus drew the crucial line. He had been born a slave. He knew real powerlessness. And he insisted that being alone is not the same as being helpless. A helpless person, he said, is one who is exposed to harm by others. But the alone person, if he has trained himself, needs nothing from the outside to be at peace. Epictetus asked you to imagine being left completely by yourself and still being able to say, "This is fine, I can manage here." That is not coldness. That is freedom from needing the world to arrange itself around your comfort. He compared the person who cannot bear solitude to a child crying when its nurse steps out of the room. The child is not in danger. It simply has not yet learned that it can be all right on its own. Most of our loneliness, he suggests, is exactly that untrained fear, and fear can be trained. So how do you actually make the crossing? Here are the shifts. The first shift. Befriend your own mind. Marcus retreated into his soul and found quiet there, but only because he had done the work to make it habitable. Most people cannot stand their own company because their inner voice is a prosecutor. It lists failures, replays humiliations, rehearses arguments. Solitude is unbearable when your own head is hostile territory. So change the tenant. When you catch the harsh voice starting, answer it the way you would answer a friend. Try this tonight. Sit for 10 minutes with no screen and simply notice how you talk to yourself. If it is brutal, that is your first project. You cannot enjoy being alone with someone you are constantly attacking, and that someone is you. The second shift. Build a routine that does not need an audience. So much of what we do is secretly performed for others. We cook well when guests come, we tidy when someone visits, we exercise when someone might see. The Stoics practiced order for its own sake. Marcus rose early and did his duties whether or not anyone praised them. Build a day with structure that belongs only to you. Make the bed no one will see. Cook the real meal for one. Keep the small promises you made to yourself. A life that runs cleanly without spectators is a life that does not collapse the moment the spectators leave. Routine turns an empty day from a void into a shape. And a shape can hold you up when nothing else will. The third shift. Use solitude to think, not to brood. There is a knife edge here. Alone time can deepen you or it can rot you, and the difference is direction. Brooding is thought that circles. It takes one wound and walks around it 1,000 times, changing nothing. Thinking moves. It asks a question and follows it somewhere new. Seneca ended each night by putting his day on trial, asking what he did badly, what he did better, what he could mend tomorrow. Notice the structure. It reviews, then it releases. When you feel yourself spiraling on the same painful loop, stop and ask a forward question. What can I do about this tomorrow? If the answer is nothing, the loop is brooding, and you are allowed to set it down. The fourth shift. Contribute to others without needing them. The Stoics were not hermits. They believed human beings are made for one another, like hands, like eyes, like rows of teeth, as Marcus put it. But there is a difference between serving people and clinging to them. Clinging says, I need your response or I am nothing. Serving says, I will do good whether or not it comes back to me. Write the encouraging message and expect no reply. Help the neighbor who will never repay you. Do the work that benefits people you will never meet. When your giving stops depending on applause, loneliness loses its grip, because your worth is no longer a vote other people cast. The fifth shift. Read as a conversation with the dead. Seneca said we get to choose our ancestors. We can walk into the household of any great mind that ever lived and be adopted there. When you open Marcus, you are not reading a dead emperor. You are sitting with a man wrestling the exact fears you carry, and you are hearing him answer. This is why a person alone with good books is rarely truly lonely. You are in company, the best company, minds that gave their finest thoughts to the page precisely so a stranger centuries later would not feel so alone. Pick one book and keep it by your chair. Let it be the voice in the room. The sixth shift. Make peace with silence. We fill every gap now. The show plays while we cook, the podcast runs while we walk, the phone lights up the second there is nothing to do. All of it is a way of never being alone with ourselves. The Stoics prized the pause. Epictetus said that on many occasions we should keep silent, or say only what is necessary, and in few words. Practice small silences. Drive without sound. Eat one meal with no screen. Sit on the step and just watch the street. At first the quiet feels like something is missing. Stay in it. Soon the quiet stops feeling like absence and starts feeling like room, the space where your own thoughts can finally speak. The seventh shift. Return to people from fullness, not from hunger. This is where it all points. Solitude is not the goal. It is the preparation. A person who has befriended their mind, built their days, thought clearly, served freely, kept good company in books, and made peace with silence, that person walks back into the world whole. They do not grab at others to fill a hole, because there is no hole. They can love without gripping, listen without needing to be heard first, leave a party without panic. Marcus went back to his court. Seneca kept his friends. Epictetus taught crowds of students. They returned. But they returned as full cups, not empty ones, and everyone around them felt the difference. So let us be clear about what this is and what it is not. The Stoics were social to the bone. They did not preach isolation, and neither am I. Retreating from people forever is not strength. It is just loneliness with a philosophical excuse. What the Stoics offer is something better than a crowded escape and something warmer than a cold retreat. It is self-possession. It is the ability to be alone without being abandoned, because you are no longer waiting to be rescued from yourself. The same empty room that felt like a punishment becomes a place you actually chose. Loneliness is what happens to you. Solitude is what you make. Cross that line, and you will never be quite so at the mercy of an empty chair again.